What's up, everyone? Got a brand new edition of Collider Forces for you. We're covering one of my favorite shows out there right now, Asa Germann, Gen V. I'm so happy to celebrate with you.
I'm so happy to be here.
I'm also so happy to have a long-form conversation with you.
I know this is a long time coming.
Have you, did you say this to me last night? You've never done a long-form, I guess solo interview, though.
Never. This is my first one. Yeah.
I feel like you and Lizze are going to have that first in this room.
Exactly.
It seemed to pan out well with her, so we're going to put you on that same track right now.
Here we go.
I have a million questions for you, but first, you got to play our game.
Okay.
This is Dicey Questions.
Okay.
You get 3 rolls on this dice tower. Each number corresponds to a random question I have, and whatever you roll, that is what we start with.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do I roll it?
Right down here.
I drop it down the thing?
Dice tower,
Okay.
yep.
All right, here we go.
Number 8. Oh, you got a fun one to start. This is one of my favorite questions on the list. We call it Everyday Things. I want to know the seemingly simple everyday thing that a human being does that is the most difficult to replicate believably on set as an actor.
Whoa. Okay.
I always say like fake sneezing or fake waking up.
That's good. I think, okay, I would certainly say speaking on the phone.
You have such a good phone scene, too, this season.
I do have a good phone.
It was a high priority on my list to ask about. Yeah.
Okay, good.
It's the one in episode 5 that you have with Lizze.
With Lizze.
And that's like a big decision he has to make, and it's not an easy thing to sell when I imagine you do not have a traditional scene partner there.
No. Well, actually, we were each there for each other when we did that scene specifically, which was really nice. But totally different days, different locations. But the reason I say phone is because I was talking with the director about this the other night. I did a movie this summer, and I literally, all I had to do was walk, hit a mark, pick up the phone, say hello, and then walk away. And it took like 6 hours for me to convincingly say hello.
Do I know the exact movie you're talking about?
Maybe. What is it?
I believe you filmed a franchise film this summer.
Oh, Scream?
Yeah.
No. So
this earlier this year?
I did Scream earlier.
Because you're like, I had to pick up the phone. I'm like, so you're not the killer.
Oh my God. No. Oh, wow. No. I actually don't have a single phone call in Scream. I think I can say that. That's a huge spoiler for all you Scream fans.
I feel like at this point in the franchise, there's a variety of different ways one can die that do not involve being called by Ghostface.
It's not the only way to go in the Scream franchise. Yeah, we've seen more creative deaths.
I will get to that eventually.
Yeah, okay,
I'll play it safe, I promise. Yeah. All right, so we've gone with phone calls for number 8.
Another
What is your second role going to be?
Did you have this made specifically for you?
We found one on Etsy, and it used to say Dinosaur Park, and one of my favorite movies of all time is Jurassic Park. So we're like, why not just change it? We have one for Collider Forces, one for Collider Ladies Night.
I love it.
Yep. Second favorite movie of all time is Scream.
Seriously?
Yeah, that's serious.
Wow.
That's why I'm the person I am today.
Huge.
It's because of Jurassic Park and Scream.
That's amazing.
I hold them very, very near and dear to my heart.
Oh, that makes me now I'm gonna have to ask you questions about that, okay?
I mean, I've got all the answers when it comes to that franchise.
I need
All
it.
right, number 6. Here's a fun one for you. This one is our zombie apocalypse question.
Oh.
Let's say you are on the set of Gen V, and suddenly there is a zombie outbreak. You could pick 2 co-stars to team up with. Who do you team up with that you think would give you the best chance of surviving the outbreak?
Okay. First and foremost, Derek.
I had a feeling.
Easily Derek. Because I think he and I would have great chemistry fighting off zombies. And then I would probably, oh God, that's tough. That is really tough. Maybe Maddie, because I feel like we could use her to distract the zombies. We could maybe siphon her off to.
Oh no!
To be
You're
zombie
sacrificing her.
It has to be done, Perry.
I've heard it before.
It has to be done. Really,
people
have said that
people
before?
have used that to win this game. And listen, you got to do what you got to do when there's a zombie outbreak.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do, and I think she'd understand.
Okay, as long as she's understanding of it, it's okay.
Yeah, she'll be fine.
All right, third and final roll in the tower here.
This is a fun game. I like this.
What we got there?
Oh, my favorite number.
What is it? 7? You got a Gen V one. I put this on the list because it is something that comes up a couple times throughout the season. Can you name someone in your career as an actor who saw you and believed in you? Someone who gave you the confidence to basically be the actor that we see now today?
So many people. I mean, this is something that's not talked about enough, I don't think. But you know this as a creative person, it takes a village of people
Yes.
to not only know that you can do this in the first place, but to continue doing it. I could name countless people. Like the first person that comes to mind is the actor Rob Morrow. Rob Morrow, Northern Exposure and Numbers, and great actor. Directed me in the first play I ever did. Kind of like pulled me out of this theater company, and took me and a couple other young actors under his wing and rehearsed with us for 6-7 months. Taught
Hmm.
us how to approach work as an actor, and I wouldn't be doing this if he didn't do that for us.
So important. This
Truly,
industry is literally all about, getting your
yeah.
opportunity and then using it to look back and lift someone up.
Oh my gosh, we have to. Like, you have to.
It's the only way. It's the only
Yeah,
way.
it's the only way.
I'm going to come back to a couple things you just said, but first I have
Great.
to kick off the meat of our conversation with the question that we always begin these with.
Okay.
What was the movie you saw, the performance you saw, personal experience you had, whatever it may be, that first made you say to yourself, I absolutely have to be an actor?
That's a great question. This is an easy answer for me, actually. And I've said this I don't know if I've ever said this in an interview or anything, but it's Gene Kelly singing in the rain. It's the whole movie, really, but specifically it's the sequence where Don Lockwood is running away from from the premiere, and he's hopping off of the train car into the cars, and finally landing in in that famous car where he gets driven down to the party into his house. And I first saw that when I was 5 or 6 years old with my grandfather, he's still with us. He's 95. He loves musicals. He's a Detroit lawyer. And I remember watching that with him, and there's this like magic that only Gene Kelly can
Mm-hmm.
embody. And I remember seeing that and thinking like, what is this? Like,
Love how that's what your grandfather was showing you. My grandmother
yeah.
was busy showing me, like, The Exorcist and The Omen.
Well, no wonder why you like Scream. There you go, right?
I blame my whole family for that.
Yeah, there you go. I'm watching musicals, you're watching horror movies.
Can you sing?
Oh God, no.
Oh, okay.
I'm terrible. I wish I could sing and dance.
I
Like,
get that.
I'm
I'm
obsessed
not a
with those.
dancer either.
No.
Yeah, I draw. I don't even like singing or dancing for fun.
Really?
No, like my friends love karaoke, and every single time we go to a karaoke bar, I'm like the weirdo sitting in the corner, just
get
like
it.
clapping for
Look,
everyone.
I get it. We all need to cheer our friends on at
Yeah,
karaoke.
I'll do other activities,
Yeah.
not those two. So that was the movie that first inspired you. I'm going to take a big leap with this next question.
Yeah.
It's one thing to identify a dream to become an actor. It's another thing to actually believe that you can do it. So do you remember the very first thing you did where you recognized like something is clicking here? I'm good at this, and I deserve to be in this industry.
Man, well, I think for one, that's a question that we're all constantly asking ourselves: is are we good enough? Do we deserve to be in this space? Because it's such a lucky thing to get to do, and there's so many people that do it. I mean, I was in drama school, and I had lots of friends in drama schools, and in like graduate programs that I think are the best actors I've ever met. And I've been so lucky to be working like I am, and those are the people that have inspired me the most. So I don't know. I don't know if I feel necessarily like especially deserving of working or doing any of this stuff. It's like fate and luck on some level. But I think that the moment that if I go circle back to Rob, it was probably the first night that we did the first production that we did together, which was This Is Our Youth. This great, everybody
yeah.
knows This Is Our Youth, Kenneth Lonergan play. And I remember we finished the first performance, and I walked off stage that night, and I was like, I think this is the worst thing that anybody in the audience has ever seen. But I've never felt so certain that there's nothing else that I can do. And I think I also just didn't feel particularly good at anything else, you know? Um, and that was the moment for me that I was like, I need to do this.
Hmm.
I need to do this.
I'm sure the production was better than you thought, but also I hold tight to those feelings where no
Yeah.
matter what anybody else thinks, just knowing that there's nothing else you can do, not because you can't do anything else, but because like your body and your mind won't let you.
Yeah.
Like someone
Yeah,
asked
yeah.
me that recently, like how I came to be in this space, and it literally is just because I refuse to consider any path to be an
Yeah.
option.
Yeah. You need that.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, you have to just be like an unstoppable force, like going in this one direction. And
Particularly in this industry.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
only way to do it.
it's the only way.
All right, let's dig into some of the first steps here. The first thing I have to ask you about are your parents, because both are actors.
Mm-hmm.
You know this about me already. I like big, complicated two-part questions. So
Hit me.
here's how I'm going to get at that.
Hit me.
Can you tell me something that they did for you that helped, a way that they were able to take their own experience and use it to help nudge you forward? But then I also want an example of the opposite,
Yeah.
something that you had to discover for yourself in order to get the kinds of opportunities that spoke to you.
That's a great question. Yeah. So my mom is she's a therapist now, which is a lot like acting, a lot like being an actor. But she went to acting school and met my dad in New York, and my dad is an actor, and he's a great actor and has really inspired me in so many ways. I think it's funny because my mom was not working ever really as an actor, but she was very trained and like is so in touch with that part of her soul and her body. So just her existence was really encouraging to me. I mean, she's always just been such a champion of me just doing whatever it is that feels like a calling, whether that's acting or carpentry. So she's been my biggest champion, and I wouldn't be here without her either. My dad probably both, I would say, contributed and tried to hinder my experience as an actor at the same time. I didn't grow up. He's really at his core like a stage actor. That's where he started, and that's I think where his heart lies. So I didn't really grow up interacting with him in a way that was involved in like the film industry, but I definitely did feel a sense of him as a theater actor. And I remember being in like the audience of tech rehearsals and plays and things like that, and feeling very aware of that ambiance and that space. And that definitely like seeped into my bones in some way. I think that the way that he probably hindered me, but also helped me find it on my own, is like, and I don't say hinders to say that he was trying to, prohibit me from doing something, but, it's a hard thing to do, obviously. And he's had to work very, very hard. And I think that he really didn't want me to, do this unless it was something that I was going to do as independently as I could, and find it on my own as much as I could. So I'm very grateful to have had that experience, and to not feel like it was something that maybe was like predestined for me, because I didn't know that I was going to do this, at all. And now I get to have this like beautiful relationship with him, even, where we get to share this love of like acting and storytelling and the craft.
Wonderful thing to share together.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I love that. Before I get into like the actual first steps to finding and pursuing your own path, I did want to go back to theater in particular.
Cool.
Did you initially envision yourself having a career on the stage versus the screen?
It's funny. I fell in love with film. Like that was my favorite thing in the world from a very young age, but I was way too nervous to, I think, pursue it or admit that to anybody. I was like a very shy kid, and I was a very sensitive kid, and I'm probably still a very sensitive kid at heart.
I feel ya.
Yeah, you know how it is. So that always felt like a bit of a secret to me, for sure. And I had a lot of friends growing up that were like, I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to be I grew up in LA, and it's like growing up in Los Angeles is like the opposite of growing up in like probably most other cities where you're like, if you're on the football team, you're cool. In LA, if you're in like the theater department, that's like you're on the football team. And I wasn't on the football team or in the theater department. I was like probably in a corner somewhere.
Oh.
But no, I was obsessed with movies, and specifically movies from like the golden age of Hollywood, of like the 40s and the 50s, and even though people don't like them as much, the 60s. And I was really, 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 really into, all of those people like Humphrey Bogart and Gregory Peck and, Gene Kelly and Cary Grant. And I was into, all of the films of Preston Sturges and, people of that era. That was really my thing. And I mean, I literally I used to have this dream when I was like 12 that I would go to school in a suit. I don't know why. It was probably wouldn't have panned out well for me. But that was like a thing I held on to, I think, in my heart. Yeah.
I'm thinking of like that classic dream that every kid has, like where like you have a nightmare that you go to school naked, but
Yeah.
like you have a dream that you go to school in a suit
Yeah.
because of like the golden
Extra
age
clothing.
of cinema.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Another thing I wanted to follow up on, because you did bring up things like drama school, and I'm obsessed with training and the
Yeah.
variety of acting techniques out there, and specifically how someone comes to find the techniques that work best for them.
Yeah.
So did you do any kind of official training? And if so, what was it like finding the techniques that would wind up being yours?
That's a great question. Gosh, like I feel like it's such a journey for all of us to figure that out. And that's one of the things that I love about any of these creative spaces is it's like you have to constantly be in a place of discovery and searching for things, whether that's because of a role or because you need to remain invested and investigative in your own life. I have felt very committed to training as an actor. Before I got Gen V, I was going to NYU's graduate acting program.
Huh.
So that was obviously a big commitment. I mean, those programs are 3 years long, and it's very, focused on reinventing the actor individually. And when I started working professionally, it just became really important to me to take as many of those teachers with me. And I was really lucky to have a lot of really phenomenal teachers who are still a part of my life today. People like Deborah Hecht and Beth McGuire and Ron Daniels and Gregory Berger Sobek. And these are people that likely most people won't know their names, but like they're all behind some of the most, influential and powerful actors around.
The hope is that you say their names and then people watching this go
Yeah.
and Google them and they
Yeah.
can see all the wonderful things that they've done for the people that they love.
Yeah, you gotta. Seriously, like I wouldn't be the actor that I am without them.
I'm going to keep digging into techniques
Yeah.
throughout our conversation here, but now taking another step forward. I find the auditioning process fascinating in general, but in particular when you're first getting started and trying to break into the industry. So when you start auditioning for screen roles at that time, what did you think that process was going to be like, and how does it compare to what actually happens?
Oh my goodness. I had just done theater at that point. And like acting classes and stuff like that. So I think I did like 6 years of auditioning, and I don't think I ever heard anything back.
Oh.
I don't think I got a call back. I don't think I got feedback. And I've watched some of those auditions since, and I'm like, what are you doing? But then hopefully, in 6 years from now, I'll watch some of my auditions now and be like, what are you doing? So
I get that.
it's tricky. Auditioning is such a skill, I had a director that I just worked with actually tell me, he said, he didn't say I'm a bad auditioner, but he was like, you're definitely better than you are at auditioning.
I mean, it's literally It's like the example that's coming to my mind when we go as journalists to
Yeah.
like Comic-Con or something and they screen one clip from a movie or a show and we're supposed to judge it out of context.
Yeah.
Like, it's like that's literally what you have to do every single time you do an audition. You have to sell a scene out of context. And that feels like one of the greatest feats to me.
It's crazy. It's a crazy thing. I have so much respect for these directors now. This doesn't happen as much in TV, but there are so many directors, especially in independent film, who really they cast based on like meetings like this, you know, which to me would be at the essence of what we're looking for, you know.
I appreciate that approach.
Yeah.
Also, because I'm just like a big believer in filmmaking families. I know every single set out there can't be like rainbows and sunshine and the best people and the best possible time, but also you pour a lot of your life and your time and your energy into these things. And if you don't have that kind of environment, I can't imagine giving so much of yourself to a project.
It's hard.
And that style of audition is literally judging someone based on, I guess, kind of friendship and also what it will be like to be a collaborator with them.
That's what, at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's collaboration.
Why can't it be that simple?
Yeah, let's make it. Let's put this message out there.
I wish everyone can think of it that simply. Going to your Gen V audition.
Yeah.
I'll back up, actually. Here's the first thing I'll ask you before I want to ask my follow-up based on what you had just said about your other audition experiences before. Do you remember the very first moment in that audition process when you started to feel yourself click with Sam and actually believe this role finally could really be mine?
It's funny. I did 2 auditions for Gen V. The first was a self-tape, which I did as I was late for a flight. And when I say late for a flight, I mean like the flight was taking off in like an hour, and I had to leave for the airport.
Oh.
And I was like, I'm not going to do this audition. And then I just randomly did it and forgot about it. And then like 2 weeks later, I got a call, and I was actually sitting with a couple friends, like drama school friends. And my manager at the time was like, oh, they want to see you again for Gen V. And I was like, really? Like, that can't be right. They must have like mixed my name up with somebody else. And I remember I went in and I did, it was a Zoom audition, and it was with the 2 former showrunners and the former producing director, and then Robert Ulrich, who's the casting director. And it was like a 45-minute audition. And I think I knew pretty much right away, you know, like, especially those scenes. I think the scenes that we read for the audition, which were pretty similar to the scenes in the show, are the scenes from the 3rd episode, or maybe the 4th episode, where Lizzie and I are in the drive-in and we've just escaped, and I find out my brothers died and all this stuff. And I remember really feeling like, oh, I could do this, you know. It's that like great moment when a piece of your brain just kind of shuts off and you're like in the pocket.
It's gotta be one of the best feelings in the world.
Yeah, it is, I guess. Yeah, it is.
Going to that other question that I wanted to ask before, like taking it a step forward. So then you find out you book the role, you're in Gen V after 6 years of auditioning and hearing nothing back. Like, what does that feel like? Is that the most validating experience ever?
I was like mortified. I mean, I was immediately just like, oh my God, what am I going to do?
Oh.
I mean, it's a dream come true, you know, like it's that thing that you hope will happen and you work towards, but it also, like, all of us know, it's like it feels so far away. And you know, there are moments like that where this like little window of opportunity opens up and you just kind of have to jump through it and like dive head first and trust that there's some lovely water at the bottom.
I have a follow-up question to this then.
Yeah.
So this just came up, I'm going to butcher the great quote, like, This one showrunner put it so eloquently, and now I'm going to butcher it, but I was talking to the team behind Star Trek Starfleet Academy, and their ensemble is just like filled with a whole bunch of like newer talent that I'm sure is going to soar. But their showrunner basically said something to the effect of like, at the start, this industry is just about like achieving your dream and then being terrified of your dream. So with that in mind, especially because like it doesn't matter what role you book, it was going to be intimidating no matter what. But your first major role is in a very popular franchise, and that just sends the pressure soaring. So I want to know the very first moment making Gen V season 1, either in prep or on set, when like you had confidence in yourself playing Sam, like a moment when you stopped and said to yourself, like, I deserved this and I belong in the Boys franchise.
Man, that's a great question.
I love trying to force people to give themselves flowers, so I will constantly ask about finding confidence in yourself.
That's going to be tricky for me. I'm maybe like the worst person at
Wait until we get to my very last question of this interview.
Oh no.
It's my favorite.
It's so funny. My first day on the set of Gen V was my 4th day on a set.
Wow.
And my first 3 days on a set were on the show Monster with Evan Peters, which huge shout out to Evan Peters. I mean, like, he's just such an incredible actor, and he's always kind of been someone that I really admired too. And literally on the way to shoot that, I remember calling my friend who was a PA at the time, my friend James, and I was like, hey, do you have any like tips for me? And he was like, oh, just make sure you like hit your mark. And I was like, wait, what's a mark? And he was like, there's a tape on the ground. You just got to make sure you go there so the camera knows where you're standing. So I was figuring all that out in the moment. Thank God I did all that prior. But my first day on Gen V was a very short scene, but a very heightened scene where I am thrown into my cell and I'm screaming, out the window as the camera pulls back. And I remember just being so amazed with how technical it all was, because it is. Like sometimes, you might not assume that unless you're on a set like that. It's especially in TV, it's so technical and it moves so quick. And there are so many moving pieces. And I would say that slowly throughout the season, maybe by like the 4th episode, I started to feel like, okay, like I can integrate some of the stuff that I've been doing in other avenues of this here, and it's going to translate. And getting to do those scenes with Lizze was so much fun and felt so impactful. And that was like probably the 4th episode when I first felt like that.
Well, I'm coming back to your collaboration with Lizze, which I think is just electric all the way through season 1 and now season 2 as well. But another layer to building confidence at the very beginning that I want to touch on is your co-stars.
Yeah.
Lizze plus everybody, because feels like one of the most important things with a show like Gen V, a show that's so heavily dependent on falling in love with a new ensemble, is the cast chemistry. So do you remember the very first moment making season 1 when you looked at everyone and you knew to your core, like, we are the right group, we're the right people to play these characters? Yeah,
it's funny. We did a table read before we started filming, and I think it was before London had been cast. At the time, Raina Hardesty was in that role, and Raina's a terrific actress.
She's phenomenal.
Yeah, gone on to do.
I wanted to have her in here for It's What's Inside a
It's
little
What's
while
Inside.
ago.
Yeah, she's so
Killer
good
movie.
on that.
Loved it.
And in Butterfly. Yeah. So before London was cast, we did a table read, and I remember Jeff Frost, who used to run Sony. We did this table read, and we had some dinner after, and he's like came up to all of us and was like, "Oh, it's not often that you feel like all of the cylinders are firing at the same time. And in this show, it feels like we might have that." And I had nothing to compare it to. So I didn't know whether that was true or not or anything. But I think definitely as you look back on it and as you get to know everybody better, interpersonally, everyone is really well cast and really well suited for their role specifically, and it's been so cool to see that evolve and everybody evolve. It's really cool.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Like, even when I was jotting down questions to prepare for this, I feel like every time I started to work on a question that involved like you with a scene partner or another character, like I kept like phrasing it like, and this is my favorite storyline of the season. This is my favorite. And I think it's because all of you feel so like uniquely suited to your characters and make them feel so like whole and complex.
That's a huge compliment.
Oh, I mean it.
Thank you from all of us.
I mean it so sincerely. All right. Let's talk a little bit about finding Sam now, specifically at the very beginning. I don't know if this is the way you like to work, but another actor I was speaking to kind of phrased it this way, and now this idea has burrowed its way into my brain.
Yeah.
So she was explaining that when you start a new show, you're kind of on unstable ground, but then you have that moment where like you do or you think of something and you realize like, I have just figured out who my character is.
Yeah.
Did you have that with Sam, and if so, when?
That's a great question. Yeah, it's weird. When you do TV, at least Gen V, we're getting the scripts individually.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know what's coming. And in that first season especially, we don't know what's coming in a way that's so substantial that it could influence the character we're playing. And, there's so much thought that goes behind every single thing that goes on in these shows on so many levels. So it's ultimately all really taken care of and you're very supported. But, as an actor, it's so different than, doing a play where you have everything in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a lot of rehearsal with the material that you already have. And it's so different. So I remember distinctly in the middle of the 8th episode feeling like, oh, that's the character.
Oof.
And then ironically, in the second season, at the beginning of the second season, I was like, oh, now it feels like a totally different character. So that was like a swerve, because we didn't know where the storyline was going to go. So I thought it was going to go in a totally different direction than it ultimately went in.
Literally one of my next questions.
Yeah.
I want to know where you thought Sam was going when you wrapped season 1 and how that vision you had compares to what his storyline wound up being in season 2.
It's crazy because I was so certain that they were going to do a very similar thing than what exists in The Boys, which is they have the boys and they have the soups. And I thought they were going to do that on our show, and have me and Maddie and then, the gang of students. And it very quickly pivoted away from that, obviously. So I was very excited to play a heartless villain. I saw an interview with Tom Hardy where he said, someone asked, like, do you prefer to play heroes or villains? And he said, it's like got to be the villains. And I would probably echo that. I would love to play a hero, like a straight up good guy for sure. But, it's definitely when you're given such grandiose, like Shakespearean circumstances, why wouldn't you want to be, like Edmund or Iago? It's a little more interesting to me, at least.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it, but I will say, like, not only are you very good at playing, like, let's just say a traditional good guy, but one of my favorite things about Sam's arc this season is that, like, every single time he tries to take a step in a better direction, like he's holding himself accountable for everything that he did. Like when I started to realize the path that they were putting him down this season, I'm sitting there like, look what he did. How do you redeem a character like that in one season? But I think that was really successfully done with both Sam and Cate, which is a major writing and performance feat that you should all recognize.
Yeah, no, that is it's a big swing, and it seems like on the face of it, it's something that maybe no one can come back from. And I always felt like that's up to the viewer. That's part of what's interesting about posing these questions is if you don't answer them, then it forces people to look at their own lives and people that they know. And that's the whole point of
I also always think about with film and television and every form of storytelling for that matter, a lot of times stories fall into the trap of having a character apologize and then having the slate wiped clean. Like the second they say sorry, then it's okay.
Yeah.
Seeing a character kind of like wrestle with the complexity of wanting to be better and move forward, but still, again, being held accountable for what he did. I think we need to see that on screen more than we do.
Totally. No, it would be way too easy if Sam went back to Emma and she was like, all right, let's get back
Well,
together.
I have feelings about that. I'm gonna get to that.
Whoa,
I'm gonna
okay.
get to that in a quick
All
second.
right.
But I did want to ask two more broader questions
Yeah.
before I start to get into my like interrogation style questions with season 2. I'll apologize in advance for those. One big cast question, just because again I'm fascinated by everybody's different approach to their work as an actor. Can you tell me a member of the Gen V ensemble where like the second you met them, you're like, we're immediately in sync. Like we get each other and we work in a similar way. And then I also want an example of the opposite, someone with a different approach to the work who maybe even challenged you to adapt and try something new.
That's interesting. The person that I clicked with the most off the bat was Hamish, certainly. Yeah.
I am fascinated by him.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I love Hamish. Yeah, Hamish and I didn't have almost any stuff together, unfortunately. Although now we've done another thing together, which was really lovely. But yeah, I met Hamish and we did one scene in the same proximity, and I was like, oh, we're in sync. And actually, Hamish and I really want to do a play together. So if you're watching this and you have if you want to give us the space to do a play,
you might have heard me say it in
Contact
Lizzie's
us.
interview. This is the manifestation table.
This is the manifestation table.
You speak that into
Yeah, I'm
existence
speaking
right
this into
now.
existence.
I will
Hamish
come
and I-
see this play.
We're going to do a play. Perry's going to be there.
Yes.
You guys can all come too. It would be Hamish for sure. I have so much admiration for who he is as an actor. And I think he's impeccably dynamic and interesting and versatile. And yeah, so it would be Hamish. The person, it's interesting because everybody's so different, you know? I've spent a lot of time with everybody on the show now as an actor. Like Jazz and I were in an acting class together. Derek and I have been in an acting class together. I've worked with Lizze far and away the most on screen. And everybody is pretty different. You know, like Lizze and I are very different actors in how we approach work. But I've learned a lot from watching how she approaches a scene. You know, she'll come in with a ton of ideas and a lot of energy and really brings this incredibly unique perspective to things and takes an incredible amount of onus over what it is that she's fighting for as Emma. And I would say that for me, that's been probably the biggest thing that I've learned from working opposite someone.
Oof.
Yeah.
What a good quality to have.
Definitely. Yeah, for sure. Very much.
I'll sing her praises a little more as we get through some of my specific episode questions.
Perfect.
But like season 1, I'm like, that right there, special spark. And at the time, we only had Collider Ladies Night, so I didn't get the chance to get to all of you. But I'm like, I need her in this studio now.
Yeah.
I told her this story on her first Ladies Night. She made that movie with Dexter Fletcher called Ghosted, where she has like that much screen time. And I'm like, who is that? Not even the star of the movie. But I'm look at them popping off that screen.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, Gen V rolls
There you
around.
go. Boom.
Something else. All right. Actually, one more question before I get to episode specifics. This is another acting question because I'm fascinated by this particular challenge, and Sam does go through this a bit this season. What is the key to playing feeling nothing when you're an actor?
Whoa. That's a great question. Man, it's hard. It's hard because you feel like you're doing nothing. This is something that I've said to people before, and I've talked to some of the people on the show about this, but I've always felt like Gen V is like more similar to Shakespeare than it is to like a Linklater film or something. You know, it's very heightened language and circumstances, and um, it is these larger than life people doing these larger than life things, you know? So it's weird because doing the antithesis to that is strange. I am brought back to a quote. I can't remember if this is Duvall or De Niro. It's got to be one of the two of them. But I believe that one of them was asked what they were thinking in an interview, and the response was they were thinking about what laundry they had to do later that day. Um, so I think maybe if you just train yourself to think about your laundry, you'll be able to
Play nothing.
play nothing.
You play nothing very well.
Thank you.
When I don't know if you map things out this way, but do you need to like have clarity in terms of like the range of Sam this season? You know, you've got feeling nothing. You've got moments where like sheer rage breaks through, moments where he has more control and understanding. Do you have to kind of like map all that out so you know where to drop yourself in?
It's interesting. I again like don't know what's coming really. I try to give myself as much of an arc internally as I could. Obviously you have to really be willing to let that go at the drop of a dime.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, one thing I loved about the first season is that I got to play these very heightened circumstances, and that was really fun in this show like this. And then the second season, I think I might have said this last night when we did the group interview
Mm-hmm.
last night, but getting to like engage in more of the play of the
Mm-hmm.
show and the group dynamic
Oh,
and
yeah.
like the mystery and being, you know, able to have some levity in scenes and even in certain moments feeling like, oh, I get to like play with this like beautiful apology and wanting to make things right for this person that I love and really do the right thing by everybody. That's really fun, you know, and it's a challenge and it's different. So at a certain point, like, yeah, I guess you maybe try to map it, but you have to let it go.
I think about that because Lizzie and I were discussing
Yeah.
this as well. Even not only just not getting the scripts until right
Yeah.
before you film, but also the idea of needing to play things a variety of ways on set, and then essentially having an editor choose which route, or
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, directors, writers, showrunners as well. But
Oh, yeah.
sometimes you've got to play two extremes, and you don't know which way they're going to go
You don't.
ultimately.
Lizzie and I have talked about this a lot. I mean, I'm confident that I have a really bad habit of trying to do every single take differently, which is probably not always what they want me to do. But I'm confident that if there, I mean, even from what you see in the show, like I'm thinking about that scene in the 6th episode when Lizzie and I are talking to each other at the hideout.
Yeah.
Like there's probably 10 very different versions of that scene that they could have cut. I mean, I was doing this thing when I have a line where I say it's like I say something that my shrink used to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to do I had just watched this movie The Fugitive it's a Marlon Brando movie based on a Tennessee Williams play. And I was like, I'm going to do a Brando thing. And I did it in every single take but one. And then
And
we
that's the
watched
one
the
they
scene and I'm like,
used.
of course that's the one
I
they
want to see the
used.
Brando cut.
Give me the Brando cut. No, but truly, there are very different versions of that scene, and every scene really that exists. And you know, I think that the one that they used is great. It's just you don't know what's gonna come out. It's actually really cool to see as an actor because sometimes you end up seeing something that you didn't even know existed,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a really beautiful thing when you start to witness something that you didn't expect.
Huh.
You know.
I'll build on that with a follow-up question. Can you pinpoint something that happens in season 2 that in the finished product, when you saw it, wound up being like more impactful, more powerful than you ever imagined it could be when you were doing it on set?
Yeah. Gosh. I think it would be probably the moment in you know what? I'm gonna pick a scene that I'm not even in. It would be the scene between Sean and Hamish in the 8th episode when they're in the car. I was there that day. That was Hamish's last day on set, and I went out to say goodbye to him because I'm in love with him. And
I don't blame you.
I don't blame myself for that. And I went out to say goodbye to him, and he was like on the side of the road. And this has nothing to do with your question, but I have to say it. He was on the side of the road, and it was like an hour and a half outside Toronto, and I had driven out to see him, and he's like standing by the side of this road, and he's like hunched over, and I like walked up behind him, and without turning around, he just said, he said, "These caterpillars, they don't know that there are cars coming."
Oh, I don't think I'm ever going to unhear that.
Yeah. So we spent like maybe 10 minutes taking caterpillars off the road. I realize I'm making Hamish sound like an infant, which he's not. He has children and he's a very capable adult.
I kind of viewed that story as like
really sweet.
As someone who runs around her apartment like cupping spiders and shuttling them to safety. The fact that he said that out loud and then you saved caterpillars makes me really happy.
We had to. But seeing that scene was amazing because, I mean, to my knowledge, Hamish never met Chance, and Sean spent time with Chance, certainly. And they certainly, the three of them didn't spend any time together. And watching that scene just like made me feel so much pride in the show and those actors. Yeah, it was beautiful.
As you should.
Yeah.
I brought it up a couple times last night. On the one hand, what Hamish does in, I guess it's more so the beginning of episode 8 than the one reveal at the end of episode 7. But he's tasked with essentially introducing a new character at the end of your season. He's challenged with getting the audience to care about that character's fate that we just met. And sure enough, he does. And I think that pays off really well in that car scene. And also being able to earn a line like that. That is like one of the heaviest lines of the entire show. And he sells it so beautifully, and the two of them together in that scene are just
it's amazing.
Something else. Really, what you all did this season with honoring Chance is probably, I try not to be hyperbolic unless I'm going to be very sincere about it, and I mean it. It is probably one of my favorite screen storytelling feats I've ever seen.
Wow.
The fact that this show,
thank you,
until it wraps up its run, will always have him at the core. He will always be the show's beating heart because of how well woven he is into everything you all did this season.
Yeah.
Cannot overemphasize that.
Carrie,
I mean it so sincerely.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to episode 5. I said I wanted to talk a little
Let's
more
do it.
about this last night. Now my time has come. First thing I want to touch on are your scene partners in episode 5, Lizze and Ryan.
Yeah.
I am in awe of everything actors have to do, but one particular thing that really fascinates me is when new actors have to jump into an ongoing show for only one episode, only a couple of scenes, and they're in a position where, yes, Sam hasn't seen them in a while, but they need to sell a significant amount of history with you, and they're just jumping in for this one episode. So can you tell me a little bit about establishing that rapport with newer actors that quickly?
Well, first of all, Lizze and Ryan both were just complete veteran killer actors. And actually, the two of them, funny enough, had been in a play together that did a global tour. They were in the traveling company of this play like a decade prior, and they played husband and wife. And they did that for like 2-3 years. And they didn't know that when they were casting the show. And the casting office didn't know that either. So one of those like really beautiful moments where there's this like harmonic convergence that occurs and puts everybody in this perfect pocket. But yeah, so hard to do that. It's hard enough to do that. Like when Maddie and I went over to do The Boys and we have like 4 lines.
I can't believe I didn't even touch on that scene.
Yeah.
It's such a good scene.
That's a cool scene. Yeah. And we shot a whole thing with that they didn't use, but we had like a whole speech that we gave when we come out to the Vought Expo. I want to see that footage because I remember I was trying to be so spacey when I gave the lines, and the audience laughed, and I thought that they were cued to laugh, and I was like, "Oh, we don't have to cue them," and they were like, "No, they just think that you're being weird."
Like spacey as in like feel nothing vibe.
Yeah. But yeah, no, both, Ryan was like, I did those scenes first with Ryan. And he was such a generous guy and such a generous actor, and did this monologue like over and over again, playing such an integral character in the story, um, of my character and of the larger story. Really, the only time in the boys that we're seeing that dynamic between parents and their children, like having given their kids compound V, and like we're seeing this perspective about, we thought it would like fix you. That's like a very fresh, unique take that they're having there. And it was a beautiful moment to get to be a part of. I felt very grateful that whole episode because I felt like I was on a bit of an island with these two people, and it was lovely and so much fun. And then the scenes with my mom, with Lisa on the swings was great. And again, one of those scenes where we shot, probably 15 very different versions of that scene. And the one that exists is lovely. There was a whole beat about how I had fallen in love with Pocahontas or something.
Yeah.
That was,
She says that still at the beginning.
Yeah.
Something like you were mad at me because your mom
because
wasn't
of
Pocahontas.
Yeah, but there was like a whole conversation around that they ended up taking out. But yeah, like all those scenes were just so much fun, including the scenes where we're watching TV. And yeah.
I truly do love hearing about things that were removed and knowing that, like, it's not a situation where I feel their absence, but rather I bet you anything that one Pocahontas line plays even stronger because you did more of it in the moment.
Definitely.
Like, you can always feel
Definitely.
the removed content influencing what winds up making it into the final cut. I think that's the coolest thing. All right. Oh, here's another swing set question that I had jotted down. I don't know if you think about it this way, but I was wondering. When you are playing Sam, is there essentially pre-swing set conversation Sam and post-swing set conversation Sam? And if so, how are you carrying yourself differently in the role after?
Yes. It's funny. There was a very clear distinction for me. I tried to definitely have a couple different iterations of what I was doing, and who knows what came across. But yeah, for sure. I felt like, it's funny. Like when I read that, I thought there's a way of reading this like a negative thing, and then there's another way of reading this like it's a very liberating thing. And it felt liberating to me. It felt like if I'm on this journey of accountability and personal responsibility, and that being the only way forward, and also with the broader message of the story, like you have this guy who really feels like he's been wronged by the world and people, and in some ways rightly so, and then makes a bunch of really awful decisions, and then chooses to cope with that by shutting off his brain. The only positive message that we can possibly push forward there, if we're going to redeem Sam, is that he has to take accountability and face uncertainty. And in discovering that there isn't something that magically made me, this test subject, like that's part of me. That's this is like the cheesiest thing in the world, but that felt to me like, well, that's the actual superpower that we can all relate to as human beings, because we all have that. And that's a curse, certainly in some ways, but ultimately, like, that's a gift, and that's why we're all alive.
part of the reason why your show's so special.
Yeah.
I say it all the time whenever
Yeah.
someone's like, I don't know if I want to watch another superhero thing. I'm like, trust me, Gen V is an absolute blast, and it leans into all the best things about that genre. And then it also has all this like really valuable stuff to say, and it fills your heart up, and it earns all of that. I love that your show can do literally everything.
Yeah, it wears a lot of hats for sure.
And sometimes all at once, all in one
For sure.
moment. I'll go back to Sam and Emma. This stresses me out. The question that I had jotted down, I guess this kind of leans into the end of the season. And this is something that I wanted to pose to you more as like your own opinion of the situation.
Okay. All right, I'll zoom out.
If I'm asking like real you this question, what do you think is best for Sam at the end of this? Do you really think he is better off with Emma, you know, coming back and the two of them being in a relationship together? Do you think he's better off maybe finding that kind of love elsewhere? Or is it more about needing solo time to love himself more?
Whoa. First of all, I don't know the answer to that question for myself, so I don't know if I could answer that for Sam accurately. I think ultimately we all need love, obviously. We need grounded love. Hopefully we all get that. I think that truly the best thing for Sam would be to be fully okay with any outcome. And I think either way he's going to be okay. I think that the endearing thing to me about Sam and Emma and their dynamic is that it feels like they're so clearly the two most kind of like externally twisted up people on the show. They're both so weird and different. And that feels like a really sweet thing, you know, that they've united in some way. And I had a sense that they would come back to each other, and I have a sense that they'll continue to do that. But like you said earlier, I think it's good that it's not an immediate thing. And I hope there's a little bit more. It reminds me of the Office, you know? Like The Office did that beautiful thing, right? Where they keep Jim and Pam apart for 4 seasons, basically. And the more they lean into that separation, the more you're like, no, but wait, like, she's right there.
It gets you to root for it for so long, and then ultimately it makes it that much more satisfying and also well-earned when they come together. Hopefully that winds up being the case with Emma and Sam. But I keep thinking about Lizzie's take on the matter too, and that last line that Emma has.
What is her take? I know she just wants to have a threesome. I've heard her say that like 15 times.
All she talks about.
Yeah.
She wants a threesome.
Yeah, and I've never heard her pitch Sam being involved in it. It's always like 2 other people.
Yeah. But and I do understand this, and I think this is probably what is best for the character of Emma. She basically like wants the threesome, and I think there's story validity here too. The threesome to kind of like explore and find herself and find what she wants, and then, you know, in my mind at least, all that exploring tells her the right thing was there all along.
Look, if she wants Emma to have a threesome, I think Sam will have to figure out how to feel about that.
Who knows? I feel like if Lizzie gets her way, we will see that in season 3.
I would probably bet on that, yeah.
All right. As we start to wind down here, I'm going to go to the very, very end of episode 8, the scene where we get Annie and A-Train. Yeah. And for that, I, you know, as someone who watches and loves Gen V and also watches and loves all of the boys, I watch something like that and like I get chills. So I am wondering, can you feel that yourself on set while you're filming it? Or is that something that really only happens when, you know, it's all edited together and it gets that song and all that good stuff?
The song is cool, right?
Perfect.
The song's cool.
Fit.
Yeah, I loved that moment. That was our last day of shooting. And we were shooting till like 5 a.m. or something like that. And we were all together and it was really, really cold. And it was so cool because that felt like one of those moments where you zoom out a bit and the season was so hard for so many reasons. And like, not only was that the first moment that we're all really truly united as a cast, um, but it was this moment where we were really like, I don't know, I felt so much unity with the crew and the cast and Steve Boyum, who's the producing director, and he was directing that episode. I remember when he called cut and like he just started crying, and it was a really impactful moment. So that felt like one of those instances where you're kind of like out of your body a bit, and you're aware of the fact that that's a significant point in your life. Yeah,
Oh, I love that you felt that on
yeah,
set because, again, I
definitely.
felt it big time as a viewer. And, as a fan, there's no more satisfying way to end a
Yeah,
season.
for sure.
To get into theory territory with what could happen next, I'll ask you this question. At the very, very beginning of Gen V, what does Sam think it means to be a good hero? And then at the end of season
Mm,
2, what does he think it means to be a good hero?
I think that's a great question. I think at the beginning of Gen V, Sam's entire conception of life is dependent upon other people and what they're telling him. So I think that his idea of being a hero is really contingent upon what, like Dean Shetty is kind of misconstruing in front of him and all these other people. And he's trying to figure that out as it goes, like whether it's Cate and that whole sequence with the Homelanders or whatever it is, like it's so dependent upon the approval and permission that other people can give him. And I think in the second season, like we've talked about, it's just it's this journey where we realize that it has to come from inside of ourselves, no matter what. And I don't know if he has a fully formed idea, you know? I think he's figuring that out still. And I think that he has more work to do.
He's going to be figuring
He's
that
gonna
out
be
and doing the
figuring it
work
out.
for hopefully many,
Yeah.
many seasons to
Yeah.
come. Before I let you go, I warned you. I'm the biggest Scream fan
Scream.
ever.
Here we go.
I got to ask a couple questions.
Hit me.
I want to keep you in safe territory here. So the first question is a very easy one. I want to know what it meant to you to book that role. I don't know how big of a Scream fan you were before this opportunity came along,
Yeah.
but what did it mean to you when you got to join one of the most iconic franchises in horror of all time?
Amazing, first of all. I am a huge fan of any kind of iconic cinema like that. So, Scream is a massive thing, as you know.
Oh, yes.
And really like redefined the horror genre, and kind of set the tone for the next decade of not only film but like TV too. I mean, and all credit really, and I would say in retrospect, the thing that was most exciting to me about doing Scream was Kevin Williamson. I mean, this is the first one that Kevin's directed. Kevin, who created Scream and Dawson's Creek and Vampire Diaries and, Cruel Intentions and like so many things, who is the greatest guy. Getting to be a part of that part of his journey in such a significant way was so cool. And getting to be a part of that cast with all those people and to work with, I don't even remember who's been announced in the movie. Has everybody been announced?
So many people have been announced.
Okay. So getting to be a part of that ensemble with all those people that have been involved in the film for so long, and I'm not going to say what capacity anyone's in the film in.
I got my ideas.
Just know that I'm not saying anything if you're watching this. But nonetheless, like stepping into that, like one of the coolest things ever. And I think people are going to love it. And I think people are going to be really, really impressed with Kevin's foray into directing Scream. He's a genius.
I like hearing that.
He's a genius.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. I'll ask you 2 cast questions. First one, just because there are so many.
Yeah.
There's so many iconic Scream actors, but they're also just iconic actors even outside of the particular franchise. Of all of them, like which one, I guess, like had your jaw on the floor most? Like the person who made you stop dead in your tracks and think to yourself, like, I cannot believe I'm on the same set as that person.
Wow. I mean, Courtney's crazy to Courtney's crazy because Friends is amazing. And then Nev is one of the coolest people alive. And I've made so many great friends, I mean, Mason Gooding is someone that I knew previously who
Love
is
Mason.
a good buddy of mine.
Yeah.
And same with Jasmine and Sam Reckner, who's a new guy, and Isabel May. I mean, the list goes on and on. Celeste O'Connor, Joel McHale. Like it's
Cast is just like every time I hear it, I'm like, how
yeah,
is this
it's
happening?
unreal. It's unreal. But if I could like go back and give someone a shout out from the Scream franchise that I think doesn't get enough
Ooh.
attention, I would give Laurie Metcalf.
I love that
Laurie
twist
Metcalf.
on that question.
Yeah, Laurie Metcalf. A round of applause for Laurie Metcalf.
I was literally just watching Scream 2 the other night.
Scream 2
and
is one of the best Screams, by the way.
I
Yeah.
truly believe that all of the Screams are like at a high level.
I love
or
it.
like through
it.
the roof.
I love it. Also, Dermot Mulroney. We got to give a shout out to Dermot Mulroney.
He is something else in Scream 6. He is living his best life in that movie.
He's
I can see
having
him
fun.
having so much fun in that
He's
role.
having fun. I've known Dermot my whole life.
Wow.
And I have always been such a huge fan of him, and he's such a great actor.
He's doing great now,
He's
too.
doing great.
I was just watching Huntin' Wives.
He's doing great.
I've seen a lot of him in that show.
Yeah.
He's something else.
Yeah.
I'll ask you one more Scream question, but it's in safe territory.
Okay.
If you had the opportunity to role swap with any actor in that franchise, specifically to play one scene of theirs, who would you choose
Matthew
and what scene?
Lillard. The end of the first one.
I could see you doing it.
When he says, what's the line he says? My parents are going to
My
be
mom and
my
dad are
mom and
gonna
dad
be
are going to be
so
so
mad
mad
at
at
me.
me. I know he improvised that line too, which is hysterical.
He's
but
so good.
I love Matthew Lillard as an actor. I've always been a fan of his. From like SLC Punk and I mean Wicker Park, which is a movie that I don't know if people have even seen.
He's literally incredible in
Yeah.
everything and like an incredible person too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure have you done the convention circuit, like the fan convention circuit?
No, never.
Your time
Yeah.
will come, but he's like the king of it.
Yeah.
And he does the very best job of like making every single person that like comes to his signing table or is in a room for one of his panels, he makes everybody feel like he's happy that they're there.
That's amazing.
And that's such a special quality to have.
Yeah.
He's the coolest. He's the
Yeah.
coolest. All right, we have hit the very last question
Okay.
of Collider Forces.
This is the one you said I
Yeah,
wasn't
get ready for it.
looking forward to.
The reason that I started asking this is because I find that people in film and television, they love giving each other awards, and that is great. We should keep on doing that. But I find that nobody here stops to tell themselves good job as much as they should. I want to know something you accomplished making Gen V Season 2 that you'll always be able to look back on and say, you know what? I am really proud of what I did there.
Whoa. I would say I would have to say that whole season for me was all about trust, and it was about working really hard on a physical professional level, but also on an interpersonal spiritual level. I think for me, coming out of that whole experience, I felt such immense gratitude for the experiences that I've gotten to have as an actor and as a human being. And I think I felt a lot of confidence in my ability to get through really challenging things.
Beautiful answer.
So I've deflected your question about acting and made it a question about my psychology.
Everything is in play with this question. I do think that's an important thing
Yeah.
to be proud of. You brought it up a little last night too. The
Yeah.
idea of like I guess you just being like a different actor and a different person than when you first started this role.
For
And
sure.
it's like a special thing to acknowledge and hold tight to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say congrats on everything you've accomplished on Gen V Season 2. Everything coming your way in the future.
Thank you.
This door is always open. Anytime you
thank
want.
you, Perry.
Anytime.
It's so fun.